You want to talk about creative parking? Check this out. This is what I'm talking about. Gotta find some place to park. And this is where this driver found the best place he knew where to find one. Running out of hours, you can't keep moving. You gotta park somewhere. Right here on the side of the road. Right by that pole. Right near that driveway. Welcome back, y'alls, to the Solomon Project, where it's not how much you make, it's how much you keep that counts. I'm your host, Richard Burns, and we are about to leave Syracuse, New York. Yes, what we New Yorkers, and when I say New Yorker, I'm referring to New York City. Those who dwell in New York City, this area is what we call upstate. This is upstate New York. And we're out of here. We just picked up some rolls of paper. Yeah, that's what I saw back there. I saw rolls of paper. Giant size rolls of paper. It's these big cylinders of pure paper. What up? Thank goodness that heat dome is out of here. It's a pleasant 70 degrees right now. 70 degrees. The trucking industry has been in a recession since 2022. The industry itself. So truckers have been feeling it financially. Got trucking companies that have been going out of business, well-known trucking companies at that. Carol Fulmer or Fulmer, I'm not sure if it's with an N or an M. Carol, I think it's an M. Carol Fulmer closed its doors. A company that's been around for 75 years. And the reason they had to shut down was because of the amount of money that it had to generate over lawsuits. So, okay, let me explain something. In the trucking industry, if you have enough money, you can self-insure your business as opposed to going through an insurance agency. Now, when you're self-insured, anything that happens comes out of your pocket. And these legal fees, they can stack up. And Carol Fulmer is an example of that. You might be under the impression that the trucking company is saving a ton of money just because they don't have to deal with an insurance company, because insurance companies can be tough to deal with. And some people are under the impression that, well, if you don't have to deal with insurance companies, then financially you should be better off. And that's not the case. Those lawsuits can be crushing. You don't even have to lose. You don't even have to lose. Just defending yourself, defending your company can be devastating financially. Just defending yourself. We're not even talking about winding up in court and winning or not losing, however you want to perceive it, not having to come out of your pocket for millions of dollars. Just look at the case where I think it was an SUV lost control, went through the median to the other side of the highway, to the opposing traffic, and crashed head on to a tractor trailer. Lives were lost, but the truck driver and the trucking company were sued. The trucking company had to come up with millions of dollars. I want you to think about that for a second. Think about it. You're driving on the highway, and then suddenly a vehicle loses control. You're going eastbound, and somebody on the westbound side loses control, goes from the westbound side to the eastbound side, and hits you. And you lose. That's the kind of stuff that goes on in the trucking industry. That's why these trucks or these trucking companies, they have cameras in their trucks now. I've seen cameras on the windshield. I've seen on top of that, or included, are not just cameras on the windshield, but I've seen cameras along the sides of the truck, somewhere mounted on top of the mirrors or along the side somewhere. So they have 3 cameras. I bumped into a driver in Minnesota that had, I don't know, I'm trying to remember how many, but it was about 7 or 8 cameras. He had cameras underneath the trailer. He had on the windshield, on the sides. He had a lot of cameras. And when you sit inside his truck, it's like sitting in the cockpit of an airplane. He's got this display panel, or display that picks up on all the cameras. It's wild. It really does look like it looks like you're in the cockpit of an airplane or something. I'm gonna see if I can find that footage so you can see what I'm talking about. That's how this industry is. And then on top of that, the rates to haul goods are too low. I just saw a driver talking about not renewing his authority. I can't blame him. I really can't blame him. I don't know what's going to happen, but trying to keep a trucking company afloat is not easy. Not easy. During the pandemic, some people went crazy because the demand was higher than the amount of trucks available at the time. I know that there was always talk of there being a shortage of truck drivers. There was never a shortage of truck drivers. Never that. But the demand did increase. It was an unusual increase because of the circumstances. Some of those drivers were bragging about how much they were getting paid, enticing other people to come into the industry to purchase their own trucks, so the prices on the trucks went up. That drove the price of the trucks to go up. That unexpected demand, unexpected increase in the demand for people wanting to get in the truck or in the industry. And after everything normalized, there were too many trucks for the demand. And as a result, shippers were able to reduce the amount that they were willing to pay to have their goods transported. To the point where some companies couldn't continue operating. Then you have a huge percentage of truck drivers who didn't bother to do the math, didn't bother to do the homework. Making decisions that didn't yield anywhere near the results they thought. They made the mistake of making an emotional decision with their finances, which is something I discourage all the time on this channel. When it comes to money, you got to separate yourself from your emotions. If you don't do that, there's a very good chance that the decision that you make will go against you. You got to see things for what they are. Like it or not, you got to see things for what they are. You got to apply the correct mathematical equation for the circumstances that you're facing. And too many truck drivers made the emotional decision, got caught up in the propaganda, and now they don't know what to do with themselves. Now they're quiet. And the ones that do have something to say, well, they're not anywhere near as aggressive as they were a year ago. Nowhere near as aggressive. Yeah, the industry is in rough shape. Anyone thinking about coming into the industry right now, they gotta be prepared. How much longer it'll last, I don't know. Difficult for me to say. We've got some things that are working against us. I hope everybody understands that if the rates go up on what the shippers are paying, you do know that it is you, the consumer, that's going to pick up that extra cost, because it will be passed on to the consumer. Some truck drivers will be happy because they're making more money, but it's you, the consumer, that's going to pick up that cost, that added expense. Anyways, I'm going to pull up here and go kick some tires again after I already kicked them. So maybe I'll be back. If not, stay fresh, y'alls, and keep it profitable.
Arabam Dacia, seviyorum çift kalem aça. Göremedi kimseden fayda. İşler